We're starting off today's entry task thinking about what is something about yourself that you're most proud of, because, for one, it helps to just be aware and be, celebratory of the cool things that you've done, the way that modern everything kind of happens very quickly. Taking a second to think about your flexes, so to speak, is really good for you. And it's also themed around, the project that we'll be completing at the end of this week, which is an About Me page, using very simple HTML, using some pretty basic things I'm going to show you today. You'll get lots of practice, you'll get lots of chance to experiment, and I won't have to talk for super long today. What's our weekly theme? It's just continued HTML practice, especially the skills of creating pages, keeping them simple, and then a little bit later in the week we'll go into some basic styling. And then this Friday, before break, I want to go over my syllabus and all of the detailed classroom expectations. And once I've done that, we might have the Minecraft server back up, if y'all are good this week. Okay, so that's the theme for the week. Today's tasks, I'm going to show you how to find images, which are going to be especially helpful for project number 1, the About Me page, as well as give you a chance to finish some past assignments. So if you still need to submit A1 or A2, I'm still accepting those. And then I want to go into project number 1, which is due on the 13th. Okay? Your outcomes from today: more HTML practice, more VS Code practice, again, referencing practice. These sound very similar to what we've done so far because we're going to be doing them a lot this class. And then you also get a chance to flex a little bit, like I mentioned in the entry task. We've all got stuff we're proud of. We've all got stuff that, frankly, we could show off a little bit more. And that's what this page will serve as. Okay? Your objectives: setting up an HTML page. We might do a little bit of folders. That might be more later this week. Showing you how to find and attach images to your pages, as well as project number 1 is one of our objectives for today. That's the project to keep talking about. You're creating an About Me page using HTML. And you do so by applying last week's practices, using the memory tools that I've shared with you, describing or elaborating your own accomplishments or your own just details about yourself, consistent use of these HTML formulas, and then later in the week we're going to get into something called source coding, which is basically copying and pasting against yourself. Okay? And we'll get to the tracking a little bit later. What I want to show you, if you look at your home page here, first is actually I've updated the modules as well as posted some of your grades. So you all have the first week of entry tasks put in, as well as the entry and exit tasks for January. You can see that in assignments. I tried to add, if we go show by type, it should have, no, we got to go to grades for that. But I've updated the gradebook to have all of the correct entry and exit tasks. Unfortunately, I don't have a solution yet for making this a little bit more streamlined. It's kind of full with all the entry and exit task discussions. I was trying to do with the entry and exit tasks, it would be one assignment that covers all these discussion boards, but I'll figure that out a little bit later. And you can also see the project All About Me page is right here, and then I added a sample final so that you can see all of the percentages of the class. Okay? So if you look at your grades, you'll see that it doesn't say right now, but it'll show you how much each of these different categories are worth in case you needed a reminder. And you'll also see that your January entry and exit task grades have been posted, so you can see how those work. Right? There are 8 points available per week because we see each other 4 times a week, and there's 2 per day. So there's an entry and an exit, and that all culminates into this 8 out of 8 score, which is why February is worth quite a bit more points, 24, because we have 3 weeks of February. 8 times 3 is 24. Right? It's really good I'm not a math teacher because I suck at math. But yeah, let's talk while we're in here about project number 1, this About Me page. And you can see there is a rubric as well as some very quick instructions on what you should include by Friday. Okay? You should have 2 to 3 text-based elements on your HTML page that describe your hobbies, your interests, your accomplishments, details about yourself, or anything else you feel like you should include in an About Me poster, like for other classes. The other way you could do this is on paper or in a PowerPoint or something similar in a tool you might be more familiar with. And I can show you later in the week how to connect that to your HTML project. But for now, I want you to understand step number 1 is to find 2 to 3 text-based elements to include like describing an event that occurred to you, how it affected you, giving advice or guidance, or creating something like a basic journal entry or a basic to-do list are some variables of how you could use some text-based elements. If you look at the criteria for text-based, you'll see there are a couple different elements right here that I'll be showing you how to use throughout the week. All right, these are going to be, if you pick 3 of these 4, you'll be good, or up to, ones that we've already got practice with. I want you to continue practicing them with your own stuff instead of necessarily what I'm showing you here. So if you get 2 or more text-based elements, it's full points. If you only use one kind of text-based element, so if it's all paragraphs or all headings or all tables, or all list items, etc., that's going to be worth partial credit. And then if it's not included, no points, right? Images, I'm going to show you how to do that really quickly. 5 points or no points because you only need 1 image. As you can see right here, step number 2, add at least 1 image on your site. And then styling we'll get into a little bit later this week. Things like centering or aligning text, changing your font, changing the colors of your elements. It's all stuff I'm going to show you a little bit later. For now, I want to show you how to get these online hosted images, and then I'll let you get started and help you as you begin your new VS Code project. Okay? And then once you submit it, you don't have to upload a URL, you don't have to post it, you don't have to upload a file. I'm just going to have you copy and paste your code into the text box so that Jake, my TA, and I can read through it and get you some grades in this gradebook, as well as we continue practicing our stuff. Okay, so quickly I want to show you, using VS Code and using some basic HTML, how you can start to put images onto your pages, because it's pretty important in your code, especially if you're creating an About Me page, you might want to have a picture of you on the page. That's not the required image, it's definitely a suggestion, but I'll show you how to get images that are maybe of your hobbies, maybe of your interests, maybe of the shows or the music that you're into. I'll show you how to get those before we get images of ourselves. Yeah, Jake Trout.
Why is it has to be online?
Because it's a little bit of a different setup for local images, which is a different type I'll show you a little bit later. In order for the local images to work, we have to go through folder setup, and I'm saving that for later because it's a little boring. There are ways you can get like pictures on your phone, for example, or pictures in somewhere like a Google Photos, etc. You can get those online only, but for now I'll show you how to use just ones that we can find on the internet. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, so I'm going to close out of this. So we're starting a new HTML file, and we do that by opening VS Code, all right, by clicking on here, typing VSC, clicking on the ribbon guy. It's already there, or mine's already there at least. We're going to create a new file, text file, and we're going to select HTML like we normally do. Okay? Very repetitive, these processes. Very repetitive. So you scroll down until you see the HTML letters right here, and you start typing out your beginning HTML tag, which is just HTML, right? I've said that a lot, but shift comma is going to give you that alligator mouth. Type out the letters HTML, shift period, and it doesn't want to give me the auto end tag for some reason. But coming back from last week, all HTML happens in these pairs of tags, right? So we have our start tag here. How do I make my end tag? Enter. So I'm going to hit enter. What do I do from here? Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. So in case it doesn't, I'm showing you how to do it here. I'll remind you. It's shift comma again, and then it's going to see, sometimes it'll give me the suggestion like that /HTML. I can click on that, and it will automatically add it for me. But remember, tags are always twins, or almost always twins, and the end tag is always going to have that slash right at the beginning. Okay? So we can have our HTML little container set up very basically here on VS Code. The new tag I want to teach you today is IMG. And IMG, thankfully it's early, is one of the only tags that does not need a twin. You do not need an end tag for an IMG, okay? But you start it the same way you start any other tag in HTML, with a shift comma, and the letters are IMG, okay? You're going to see VS Code, if you have the little wrench icon popped up, it's going to give you a little definition that says an image element or an IMG element represents an image. And when we click on it, sometimes nothing happens, right? Yours might be differently because yours might be a little bit more helpful than mine. I'm showing you the longest way possible so that in case yours breaks, you know how to fix it. Out of curiosity, what is this red HTML end tag telling me? Hold up. Wait, can I see a hand? Yeah, Huga. Incomplete code. Where is my code incomplete? The image. We're not done with the image yet. The image needs something called an attribute. You might have experimented with this last week where you were changing font colors or text orientation or things like that. An attribute is extra information that lives inside of the start tag. Okay? So we don't have to close our start tag yet because we're going to add an attribute, an extra piece of info, called SRC. Can anybody guess what SRC might stand for? Source, exactly. And if you click on it, it will add this equal sign and this pair of quotation marks that are very, very important. Remember, your computer is very, very literal, so it needs to know exactly when to start reading and when to stop reading. Okay? For example's sake, for showing you how to find these images online, I'm going to use the Seahawks logo, just as an example. Because your computer is very literal, you need to tell it exactly the path to follow to find the image that you're looking for, to find your exact source. Okay? So if I just Google, if I can spell it right, Seahawks logo, okay, this is going to give me a lot of links. This is going to give me a lot of articles describing the Seahawks logo. But web pages like this have images, they have text, they have, excuse me, all types of styling that's going to make it hard for me to access this image. What I need to do is isolate this image by opening it in a new tab, very simply. So if I click on this Seahawks logo, it's not yet isolated, okay? Even though it's most of the screen, even though it's kind of highlighted, it's not by itself. It doesn't. My computer doesn't know exactly which image I want it to grab, so I need to tell it that. And very simply how you tell it to do that is by, once you find an image, right-clicking on it, and you want to look for the phrase open image in a new tab. You can see it right here on my Firefox version. Yours for Chrome or from Edge or Opera or other browsers, it might be in a different spot, but you want to find a way to open the image in a new tab. Okay? And you'll see, when I click Open Image in a new tab, it's going to pop up on a new tab. Now, what I've done here is taken this image, or whatever image I want to put on my website, and isolated it so my computer knows exactly where to look. And exactly where to look is that URL, right at the top there. Does anybody know what URL stands for? It is an acronym. It's a boring one. Universal Resource Locator. This is a resource. It's universal because so many different languages and computers can read it. And it's a locator because it tells you where the location is. Right? So we're going to take this URL, and this URL is going to become our SRC. You Control-C to copy it, or you can right-click and copy that URL. We go back to VS Code and put it inside of the quotation marks. See how my cursor is inside of the quotes right now. Control-V. You know it's happened correctly when it's kind of this coppery brown color. And the very last thing you need to do for a bare minimum image, to make an image appear on your web page, is to close your image tag. Okay? Shift period. Now, see how my HTML end tag is happy now? It's no longer red. The one with the slash through it is no longer red. That's because we have completed our image tag, our IMG. Image does not need an end tag. You can add one if you really want to, but it doesn't do anything. So you can delete this, and it'll still be fully functional. This is called a void tag, because it kind of exists in the void. It just needs to start. It doesn't necessarily need to finish. Okay? So if I were to run this code by clicking on my little run and debug icon right over here on this side of my taskbar, okay? If I click run and debug, it wants me to save it first. Now, part of your exit task today is syncing your OneDrive, so we'll get to that a little bit later. But I'm going to save this to just my desktop for now. Let me see where I can find that. It's usually under this PC, local disk. That's too far. Show me where my desktop is. We'll put it in my documents then, because my desktop is not appearing. So I'm going to click on documents. I'm going to call this image example. You can, if you've been following along with me, also call it image example. I'm going to put my last name on it so I know whose is whose. Click save, and then it's going to ask me where I want to open my code. Saving is a super important step in these processes because you don't want to lose volatile work. Volatile meaning undone. You know, it's like if you got your recipe halfway done and then you didn't cook it, right? Not much of a recipe if you don't get the end result that you're looking for. I'm going to pick Edge because that's the default. And you're going to see on my web page is this huge, ginormous image because it's taking the image at full size. But it does know, with the HTML recipe that we've written here, how to find the image I asked it to find. Does that make sense? In order to make your images play a little bit more nicely on your pages, I want to show you another attribute you can add that is very simple. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and click my red stop. And so that it quits debugging, Edge is going to close. And I'm going to go back inside of my image start tag. You see how I'm inside of the other alligator mouth, inside of the shift period alligator mouth right here? I'm going to add the word width, width, and then I'm going to hit enter, or I'm going to click on the sign here, and it's going to give me another equals quotes. You can have multiple attributes per tag if you want multiple things to happen. A required attribute for image is a source, because if you just tell a computer, put a picture here, and you don't tell it what picture, it's going to be like, got it, I have no idea what to place here. If I tell it a specific width, maybe, for example, I give it a percentage of about 25%. There's a lot of different units you can use inside of the width attribute. But 25%, I hold Control S. I click Run and Debug again. Now my image is going to be much, much smaller because I've told the computer specifically where to find the image and then some extra detail on how big to make the image. Okay? Does that all make sense? The process of finding an image is to first isolate it so that you have a source. Then to write your image img space src in your HTML. Put your link inside of the src. And then if your image is too large, like mine was, you can add a width attribute, all within the start tag. So I'm going to minimize this. We're all still within this closing alligator mouth over here. You can add a width to it. Maybe we make this a little bit bigger, like 55%. Control S, click my green refresh. Now my Seahawks logo is going to be a little bit larger. Right? And that will be helpful or necessary for adding images to your About Me pages due on Friday. Okay? Yes, question? Oh, specific? Okay, no worries. Okay, so what I'd like you to do today is in VS Code, practice creating this image tag. You also have W3 Schools in case you need some copy and paste code to get started. You just need to change the source to something specific. All I need you to do today, because this project is due Friday, is practice isolating those images and coding them into your VS Code. Okay? We're going to build this project throughout this week. You don't have to get it all done today. All right? I'll help you with your specific questions here in just a second. So, for your exit task, I'll go through this really quickly. I think I meant to type gray cloud, because if you have not, feet off the desk please, if you have not synced your OneDrive yet, it'll be gray with a slash through it. So if you all look at the bottom right-hand corner of your page, you'll see either a gray cloud with a slash or a blue cloud. We want it to be blue, because blue will allow you to save your own specific pictures and isolate them on the internet so you don't have to find them on something like Google Images. Sync your OneDrive as your first part of your exit task.
Why is that so small?
Here, and then click sign in. The annoying part part with the sign-ins is you have to click through all the yes, 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 later, 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 until it says open my OneDrive folder. Then it will be correct. So what I'm doing right now is checking off. Yep. So yours is already good. You're already good. Yes. This is what we want, right? Okay. You're good? Okay. You're good. Let's do this OneDrive syncs. So click on the green copy of the slides. Right here.
Where do I find my HTML?
It's in your documents.
Right.
Scroll down.
Wait, no.
Oh, downloads are different from documents, so you want to move that.
Yeah?
You want to drag that into. You move it, you have to go to your documents.
Two.
Scroll down.
I got it.
One, and it's synced online, so you can access it. Okay. Yep, you're good. Yep, make sure you click all the way through the next, until it says open my
Uploaded
OneDrive.
the exit tag.
Now you answer the second part, because I checked you off. So you're good.
I like cloud drive.
Almost there. You're almost done, so click open my OneDrive folder. Now you're good.
We just start there.
So click all the way through these next.
Alright, cool, I did it.
You can do later and open up. Now it's synced. Okay, does anybody else need me to check their OneDrive?
You check mine.
Yeah. Josh, you got it? Yes. Okay.
Alright.
Okay, you're good. As long as the cloud is blue, you'll have access to your like 2 terabytes of OneDrive storage. So click on this gray cloud slide. Click sign in. And then you click through all the sign in later until you see open my OneDrive folder is the last step. Once you click that, it works. So next, later, next. Click through everything. Couple more. Later. Now open my OneDrive. Now you're synced. So everybody's OneDrive is synced. Nicely done. To post, so that you get credit for this exit task, I want you to tell me your favorite type of weather. While you're telling me your favorite type of weather, you're good to go, Kaden. Thank you.
I will see you on Wednesday.
Wednesday, exactly.
Yeah.
So you know that you're getting this because you've got more practice building HTML tags. You understand how to isolate an online image. You might have begun work on project number 1, and we've all just synced our OneDrive so we have somewhere safe to save our stuff. The cool part about OneDrive is you can access it from any computer, including your school computer, your school laptop, I mean. So the code you write in here, if you need to finish it from home, is already on your school laptop. You just might need VS Code to continue. Why are we doing this? Continuing to emphasize that the process is more important than the product. By knowing the parts to put together to make an image, you can customize those images to whatever you need them to be customized to, which I care more about than what you turn in at the end. Again, practice makes permanent. The more we do this, the more it sticks. And by creating an About Me page, by looking at your, I have the hiccups, excuse me. By looking at your accomplishments, about details about your life, about flexing, right? Understanding yourself is going to improve all different aspects of your life. Trust me. So we got your exit task. You got 6 minutes left and change. Really nicely done today. I'm proud of y'all. Good job. And then since I've checked everybody's OneDrive is syncing, y'all can have your phones a little early today. Please come up and swap them with your cards, though. Please and thank you. Nicely done, y'all.
Just ask this.
You'll also maybe find out in the last 5 minutes if you tried to go on a site that was previously blocked, it might be unblocked now. But I don't know, I just work here, so.